Graders, this is Mrs. Smith with your lesson for today. Today is your first day working out of your new benchmark book. So I hope you've had a chance to go through your new book called Earth Changes and read today's story. So the passage that we're going to be working with is this one called Earthquakes. If you haven't had a chance to read this yet, I want you to pause the video and go and read this at least once, but hopefully twice. While you read that, you can go ahead and read this little note that I left here for you also. So go ahead and pause and hit play when you're ready to keep going. Okay, so now that you've read this passage, we're going to go through and look for the key details so that we can answer the questions on this page in your benchmark book. This is page 1 in your new benchmark packet. So if you need to pause the video and go get these things, I want you to do that now also. And so looking ahead at this worksheet, I know that I'm going to be searching my passage for the answers to these questions. What is an earthquake? Where do earthquakes happen? And how do earthquakes reshape Earth? So now that I'm familiar with this passage and I've already read it 2 times, I know a lot of where these answers would be. But let's take them one question at a time and try and find the answers to these things. So the first one that we're going to look at is what is an earthquake? Now, I remember when I carefully read this passage that I saw that answer, and I saw it in paragraph 2. If you didn't see it, I want you to go ahead and skim paragraph 2 and look for a sentence that starts with an earthquake is. Usually when I hear a phrase like that, an earthquake is, I know that there's going to be some sort of definition after that. So you can see here, an earthquake is a sudden movement or shift of Earth's crust. So I'm going to underline that sentence because I know that this is a key detail that's important for my success on my worksheet. So that answer is going to go right here. So go ahead and take this key detail. It's also a piece of text evidence, and we're going to plop that guy right here. So go ahead and do that now. All right, here we go. So here is my key detail, my piece of text evidence. And if you remember, when we cite text evidence, we have to put the exact sentence in quotation marks. And then I also cited what paragraph I found that information in. This was paragraph 2, and you can see that here. Okay? So my next question is, where do earthquakes happen? And you might be curious about where we read here that it's a sudden shift of Earth's crust. Well, a shift how? And so we find that answer in the answer to this question, where do earthquakes happen? In the remainder of paragraph 2, we read about tectonic plates and how the plates float on a layer of molten rock and slowly move in the earth. And so as they rub up against each other, they build up pressure and energy, and they either shift or collide at their boundary lines. And you can see the boundary lines are these white lines in this map here. They show all of the tectonic plate boundary lines. And oftentimes, most earthquakes occur along the Earth's tectonic plate boundary lines. And you can see that same idea that I just mentioned is right here in this caption. Most earthquakes occur along the boundaries of Earth's tectonic plates. So we're going to take this caption, it's a piece of text evidence, and we're going to put that answer here. Where do they happen? Along those tectonic plate boundary lines. All right, so you can see that I've added my key detail here, and then I noted where I found it was the caption on page 4. So my last question is, how do earthquakes reshape Earth? If you're unsure about reshape, I want you to think like change. How do earthquakes change the Earth? Or you could think of it like, how do earthquakes cause differences, changes, or additions to what is on our Earth now? Okay, so we've already dealt with paragraphs 1 and 2, so I'm thinking my next answer is going to be somewhere on this page. Now, the question is, how do earthquakes reshape Earth? And I told you to think of reshape as change. Looking at the headings, measuring quakes and Earth's changing surface, which heading do you think that the answer to how do earthquakes reshape or change the Earth, which heading do you think that that's going to most likely be under? If you said Earth's changing surface, I would agree with you. I'm going to skim these two paragraphs, 4 and 5, to try and find some text evidence that will answer the question, how do earthquakes reshape the Earth? So I see that word reshape here just when I'm skimming the first sentence. So Earth's tectonic plates reshape Earth's landscape by building landforms. Now you might ask, what's a landform? Well, thankfully, the rest of my sentence here has this key word such as that I know means an example is coming. So landforms are things like mountains, valleys, and other land features. So I can see in the rest of this sentence, the rest of this paragraph, hello, unblur. There we go. So as plates, those tectonic plates that we saw on this page, right? These white boundary lines are where the tectonic plates meet each other. So when plates move apart from each other, when they move away from one another, the Earth creates things like valleys, rivers, and even oceans. Now, in this next paragraph, I can skim and see when the plates collide, they push upward. So think of plates coming together, colliding, and pushing up off of each other, right? Then they're going to create things like mountains. For example, here, the Himalayan mountains, right? Look at all of these big mountains here. These were created when tectonic plates collided and pushed upwards against each other. So, how do earthquakes reshape our Earth? Well, Earth's tectonic plates reshape our landscape by building landforms. And we could even put examples like such as the Himalayan mountains. Okay, so I want you to go ahead and take that information and put it here. All right, so here we go. I wrote, earthquakes reshape the Earth by creating landforms, such as the Himalayan mountains. And you can see that I did not choose to put this in quotation marks because this sentence here is from my brain. I wrote this sentence and I did not take it exactly from the text, but I used the text to help me, which is why I put that I found that information. I got these ideas from paragraphs 4 and 5. As long as your answer is something similar to mine, it's fine. It does not have to be the same. If you added some extra details, that's great. I would keep it that way. So the last thing on this page is your question. The question says, which of the following is an effect of an earthquake? Is it A, rivers, valleys, mountains, and oceans can form? B, two tectonic plates rub up against each other? C, the Earth's crust shifts? Or D, the plates float on top of molten rock and move very slowly? Now I want you to pay close attention to this key word in the question here. What is an effect? Because an earthquake happens, right? It's already happened. What is produced from that earthquake? What kinds of things happen that after the earthquake? So you can see here, there's some choices to pick from. I'll tell you, 3 of them are what happens as the earthquake is happening. One of them is the result of the earthquake, the effect of the earthquake. So I want you to pause this video and select the best choice answer that is the effect of an earthquake. Go ahead and pause now and pick your choice. All right, so now that you're back, I'm hoping that you picked your own answer. And so now I'm going to tell you what the answer is. So if you're not ready, I want you to pause it. So I hope that you picked choice A. Rivers, valleys, mountains, and oceans can form. This is an effect of the earthquake happening. These are how the earthquake happens. This is the effect and what happens after the earthquake is over. Okay? So I hope that this lesson helped you. Please let your teacher know if you have any questions, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye.